guys, here we are for Unit 3, Measuring Circles. Okay, we're skipping Lesson 1. We're going to go straight to Lesson 2. And we're going to explore the different parts of the circle. So we're going to start on page 15. Okay, so the learning targets, the I can statements for the day. I can describe the characteristics that make a shape a circle, and I can identify the diameter, center, radius, and circumference of a circle. Okay, so on page 15, I have two figures. It says figure C looks more like figure A, and then figure B. Sketch what figure C might look like. Explain your reasoning. So, go ahead and think about it. Go ahead and sketch it out, what you think figure A might look like. Remember, there's no wrong or right answer here. Just go ahead, pause the video, and sketch out what you think it might look like. All right, here we go. So hopefully you've come up with a solution for what C is going to look like. So we have this C figure, and we know it looks more like A than it does B. Well, we know A is a square, so anything that looks closer to a square than an oval will work. I could have a rectangle. I could even have like a trapezoid, because that looks more like a square than it does an oval. Although it's sort of long like an oval, it still have the square edges. It could be a kite, because they're all four-sided shapes, right? That's a beautiful kite. Okay, you could even think of like a square with rounded edges. It's kind of hard to draw with this thingy, but a square or a rectangle with rounded edges. So you're going to round off the edges, something like that. Okay, so now into the circle part. So 2.2 on page 16. It says your teacher will give you pictures of different objects. So I have the pictures here, but we're not really going to do what the activity wants us to do, but we are going to look at the pictures here. Okay, so specifically this wagon wheel. Okay, we're going to talk about the different parts of the circle. All right, so in the middle of the circle, we have what's called the center of a circle. Okay, that's just in the middle of the circle, and all points of all edges of the circle, no matter what direction you go, are going to be the same distance from the center. Okay, then from the center, if we start at the center and we draw a line out to the edge here, and of course it's hard to draw a straight line on this thing, but a straight line from the center out to the edge of a circle is called the radius. Some people like to think of it as half of the circle. Okay, so you go from the center out to the edge, that's called the radius. All right. The next part is if we go from an edge through the center to the opposite edge. There you go, there's a straight line for you. Okay, so from one edge through the center to the opposite edge, that's called a diameter. All right, and the thing about radiuses and diameters, two radiuses equals one diameter. Okay, so if let's say my radius was 5 times 2 is 10, so my diameter is going to be 10. If my radius was 7 times 2 is 14, so my diameter is 14. You can also go the other way. If my diameter is 20 divided by 2 is 10, so my radius would be 10. If my diameter was 4 divided by 2 is 2, so my radius would be 2. Okay, so two radiuses equals one diameter. And then the last thing is the circumference. Now the circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. Okay, other shapes we call the perimeter. The thing about a circle, though, is there's no sides on a circle. With a perimeter, you can add up all the sides and find the distance around it, right? With a circumference, a circle, you don't have any sides. Okay, there are no sides of a circle, and so it's just a special word because there's a special formula we use to find the circumference. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, so those are the parts of the circle. We have the center, which is in the middle, the radius that goes from the middle out to the edge. And then the diameter, which starts at the edge, goes through the middle, through the center, and to the opposite edge. And the circumference is the distance around. Okay, now when labeling circles or labeling different parts of circles, okay, I'm going to put in some letters here. So we have A, B, C, and then we'll say the middle is D. So like, let's say I wanted a radius. Okay, so a couple different things here. Radius, remember, goes from the center out to the edge. So if I follow the blue line, it starts at the center, which is point D, and it goes out to point C. So DC could be a radius, okay? I also could say DB is a radius because it starts at the center and goes out to the edge, and I also could say DA is also a radius because it starts at the center and goes out to the edge. So all three of those are radiuses. Okay, if I wanted to know a diameter, there's one diameter here, okay? It's the green line. So we start at A, we go through the center, and we end up at B. So AB would be our diameter, okay? If you wanted to put D in the middle there because it does go through point D, you can. So you could say ADB, okay? But remember that you can, the letter order could be either way. So it could be CD, BD, AD, or BA. The order doesn't matter as long as you have both letters. Okay? So that is the parts of a circle: center, radius, diameter, and circumference. Okay, so 2.3 on page 17, we're going to talk about some different circles here. We're going to talk about these circles right here. Okay? So, on 2.3, it says, Priya, Han, and Mai each measured one of the circular objects from earlier. Priya says that the bike wheel is 24 inches. Han says that the yo-yo trick is 24 inches, and Mai says that the glow necklace is 24 inches. Do you think that all these circles are the same size? Well, looking at them, if you see that girl doing the yo-yo trick, that's a big circle, right? That's going to be a lot bigger than any bike wheel I have, so I would say no. And then if you think of a glow necklace that goes around someone's neck, that's not the same size either. So they're not the same size. So what they did is they each measured a different part of the circle. Okay, and so number 2 says, what part of the circle did each person measure? So if we look at Priya, she says the bike wheel is 24 inches. So 24 inches, I think Priya measured the diameter and got 24. Han says the yo-yo trick is 24 inches. I think Han might have measured the radius and got 24 inches. And then Mai says that the glow necklace, well, the glow necklace is the distance around, so she measured the circumference and got 24. So they all measured different parts of the circle and got 24. So that's how that would work. Okay? So drawing circles on page 18, it wants us to draw some circles. So let me get rid of this picture. Whoa. So if I move this, measuring circles, we did that. All right, so draw and label each circle. Okay, so circle A with the diameter of 6. So the big thing I want out of this is just to know which part is which. So diameter of 6. So if I draw a circle, diameter of 6, let's say that's 6. Okay, so that would mean this part right here is 6. Circle B, a radius of 5. So remember, radius goes from the center out to the edge. So it's going to be a bigger circle. Oh, let me pick the circle button here. Let's try this again. So her radius is going to be 6. Uh-oh. Let's see if I can try this again. There we go. All right. So her radius is 5. That's pretty big, right? So the radius, so let me redraw this. Diameter is 6, and this radius is 5. Okay, circle C with the radius that's equal to A's diameter. So now we want a circle that's twice as big. Where's the circle button? There it is. Okay, we want a circle twice as big now, because now that's the radius and not the diameter. Oh, that's pretty looking. And then we have letter D, the diameter of the circle B's radius. So now the diameter is 5. So it's going to be a circle that looks like that-ish. Okay, so just remember, diameter is the distance across, the radius is from the center out to the edge. Okay, and that's it for the lesson. So if we look at the summary, my circles are staying on there again. So let's go ahead and just erase those. They still are not going away. So let's just do it this way. All right. So if we look at the summary on page 19, a circle consists of all the points that are the same distance away from a particular point called the center of a circle. A segment that connects the center with any point on the circle is called a radius. For example, QG, this line right here, QH, QI, and QJ are all radii of a circle. Now we say, or circle 2. We say that one radius is and 2 radii. So if we have more than one radius, the plural is radii. Okay? So those are all radiuses or radii of the circle. The length of any radius is always the same for the given circle. So if QG is 4, that means QH is 4, QI is 4, and QJ is 4. For this reason, people also refer to the distance as the radius of the circle. So you could say the radius of circle 2 is 4. A segment that connects two opposite points in the circle passing through the circle center is called the diameter. For example, segments AB, so this line here, CD, and EF are all diameters of circle 1. The diameter, all diameters in a given circle have the same length because they're composed of 2 radii. So if this diameter was 8, all of the diameters are going to be 8. Okay? For this reason, people call to this length such as the diameter of a circle. So you could say the diameter of circle 1 is 8. Now, the circumference of a circle is the distance around it. If a circle was made of a piece of string and we cut it and strained it out, the circumference would be the length of that string. A circle always encloses a circular region. The region enclosed by circle 2 is shaded, but the region enclosed by circle 1 is not. We refer to the area of the circle, meaning the area enclosed by the circular region. So if we look back at circle 2, the area is the blue stuff in the middle. Okay, and we'll talk more about area later on in Unit 2. Okay? So the main things today, center of the circle, the radius goes from the center out to the edge. The diameter goes from one edge through the center to the opposite edge, and it takes 2 radiuses to make one diameter, and then the circumference is the distance around it. So if we look at our assignment today, it's going to be on Canvas. It says, here's a circle with center H and some line segments and curves joining the points on the circle. Identify examples of the following. Explain your reasoning. So we need to come up with a diameter. There's 2 of them. Remember, diameter goes from the opposite edge across through the middle to the other edge. So there's 2 different choices you could choose for the diameter. And then the radius, remember, goes from the center of the circle to the edge in a straight line. Okay, and there's 4 different options you can do for that one. Okay, now there's also other extra lines in there just to confuse you. And the second question, Lynn measured the diameter of a circle in 2 different directions. Measuring vertically, she got 3.5, and measuring horizontally, she got 3.6. Explain some possible reasons why these measurements might differ, and then there'll be some choices you can choose from. Remember, if you have any questions, you can just always go ahead and send me an email, and I'll get back to you. Thanks. Whoa.